There's no shortage of financial advice out there, and unfortunately, not all of it is good. Some of the most damaging retirement mistakes don't come from reckless behavior, but from ideas that sound reasonable and get repeated often enough to feel true. So today, we're busting some of the most common retirement planning myths and explaining why believing them can quietly derail an otherwise solid plan.
Hey, welcome to another episode. This is Your Retirement Elevated. I'm Walter Storholt alongside Scott Dugan of Elevated Retirement Group. And we've got a rapid fire episode for you today. We're going to cover in a short amount of time 10 myths about the financial planning world. And these are common retirement planning myths. And unfortunately, a lot of people are still using these in their plans, and that's leading to problems. It's dangerous if you're using too many of these myths, even one perhaps, to build your plan off of. So we want to dispel these. Scott, we should put your Mythbusters hat on. You remember that show from back in the day, right?
Absolutely.
I think that'll be fun. I don't know if we're going to have as many explosions and cool things to share with folks, but we'll have some fun.
We are not shooting a frozen chicken out of a cannon at something, unfortunately. That would be awesome if we could.
Yes, it absolutely would. One of the best shows ever, by the way. Like if you just really think about the creativity of it at the time, the technology, all the stuff. I mean, that was a really good show for the time that it came out.
I loved it. Yeah. I can still watch the reruns today.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so let's dive into these. We'll be quick and easy on each of these. Number one, the myth is that the more a financial plan weighs, the more valuable it is. Yeah, I want a financial plan that's this thick when I go in for an appointment, Scott.
We call that advice by the pound.
Yeah,
it's very prominent. So you know how it is. It's a thick binder, thud when you put it on there. When I see that often signals complexity and really complicated language, not clarity, and doesn't give you better decision making. So I think a lot of that is like our industry, have all these acronyms, all these fancy words. I think this thick plan is just a continuation of that. A lot of times we narrow and distill plans down into 1, 2, or 3 pages. Now, there's detail, absolutely, but I've never had a client go, I really wish you would print all of that off and give it to me. Yeah, because we've did that exercise over the years, and we would print all these things out for a strategic planning meeting. It's like, hey, do you want to take any of this with you? And they're like, give me that one. Yeah. So we've just narrowed it down to what people really want. So yeah, don't fall for that thick financial plan. It doesn't mean it's worthwhile. There's value in brevity, right? That's a key takeaway, I think, for financial plans. Makes it easier to understand, right? Because if you've got a 600-page plan, how are you going to understand all that when half the pages are probably just legalese and fine print? So maybe even more than that. So great one there. So don't believe that myth. All right, number 2, my life is simple, so all I need is a will. I don't need anything fancier than that. Maybe that's true sometimes, but not all the time. It's definitely not the case. Now, only 30% of the U.S. population has an estate plan in order. So that means 70%, if they're not proactively putting a plan together, the state is providing you one, and that's through probate. All right. So estate plan is also about logistics, access, and easing the burden on the people that you leave behind. So you owe it to yourself and the people you love to really investigate, do you need a will? Do you need a trust? What do I need to make sure that my situation is everyone's taken care of and my wishes are going to be met if something happens, if I incapacitated or die prematurely? So again, just because it's simple doesn't mean that a will is all that you need. And consult an attorney. Yeah, absolutely. And work with an advisor who's going to coordinate with that attorney too and make sure that relationship is cohesive and comes together with all the right elements involved in it. So that's big. Myth number 3, my spouse will be fine when I'm gone. They'll only need half as much income. It's a pretty easy math equation. Yeah. And the reality is most surviving spouses need closer to 80 to 85% of the original household income. That's not an insignificant difference from the assumption. That is significant. No. And so there's a cascade of events that happen from an income perspective. Married couple, you get to keep one of the 2 Social Security checks, keep the largest. You may or may not be able to keep the pension if you have that. And if you've got a large amount of your assets in tax deferred accounts, your spouse goes from a married filing jointly, which is advantageous from the tax perspective, to a single tax filer, which is not. And so you really can speed up the consumption and the erosion of that nest egg if you leave your surviving spouse in a situation where their tax bill goes way up, they start consuming their assets quicker. Not a good recipe. And I think you need to have good, solid planning in place to mitigate that potential outcome.
The erosion. I love the emphasis there. All right. When I retire, myth number 4, I need to dramatically shift from stocks to bonds. Well, that's been the old saying for such a long time, Scott.
Yeah. Yes, especially people that sell bonds. So,
there you go.
Especially there.
Yeah.
So you really need
maybe the dramatically was thrown in by that side.
Yeah. Brought to you by the Bond Association of America.
There you go.
Yeah. So your income sources, inflation exposure, and longevity matter more than your age alone. And so as we're going into a situation where interest rates are falling, we may still have inflation, you're going to want to have a portion of those assets in equities that are going to rise with inflation. So automatically going like a target date fund. That's what we see all the time. Your 401k, you picked a target date fund as you got closer to retirement, got heavier and heavier in bonds. Well, what if that's a bad time to be doing that? So again, that's why we customize each plan for our clients and don't just the Play-Doh fun factory of, let's go to a bunch of bonds. That's not always the right move for our clients.
That advice is very closely tied to an age-related piece of advice. If that's all you've got as your metric, that should be a red flag. There's others out there in the financial world that are also very similar. Take your age and do X to it. But if that's, and that can be a good starting point in some cases, but if that's all there is to it, let's dig a little deeper. So
yes.
Myth number 5, if the market crashes, I'll just stop spending until it recovers.
And it's not if it crashes, it's when it crashes, because that's natural. It's a part of the market.
Yep.
We just have had a really good run for a while, barring a few little hiccups here and there. But retirement spending isn't optional. You've got essential expenses. Yes, maybe you're discretionary. You would like to have stuff. You could pull back, tighten the belt, and do that.
Yeah.
But markets rarely recover on a timeline that matches your needs. So in our planning, we always want to have a war chest set aside where we can weather any of those storms. And so the thing you do not want to do when the market is down, we do not want to be selling our Apple stock to pay our electric bill when the stock is down 30%. That is not the process we want to follow. We want to be very methodical about that. So again, we want to be able to absorb those crashes, but have a war chest to get through the crashes and onto the other side.
Is your retirement strategy working as hard as you are? Get the answers you deserve with Elevated Retirement Group's information-packed toolkit. Inside, you'll get Scott's book, Exceptional Retirement, along with essential insights covering the 5 key areas of retirement planning, strategies to keep more of your hard-earned money, and how to choose your winning retirement team. Take control of your retirement today. Click the link in today's show description to claim your toolkit at no cost to you.
For those who kind of believe that myth, I'd like to just say, go ahead and try that. Let's do a trial run for the next couple of months. For the next 3 months, go ahead and stop spending. Let's see how well you can do it. I think that would be the easy way to bring that one back to some awakening. All right, myth number 6, Social Security. It's going to take care of most of my retirement income. It's that solid. Maybe that's a plan for some people, but probably not often for the folks and families you're working with, Scott.
Yeah. Here's what the numbers say. So for most retired households, Social Security is a foundation that covers about 40% of their outflow needs. 40%.
Okay.
60% needs to come from other sources, which is that part-time work, is that rental income. For most people, that's going to be distributions from their nest egg, their IRA, 401k, Roth, checking, savings, brokerage account. So again, Social Security is a supplement to most people's cash flow. We want to make sure we optimize that and get the most amount out of it in the context of the plan. But again, for most people, it is not going to be enough to live the lifestyle you really dreamt about in retirement.
Yeah, it's the building the financial house, right? It gives you the foundation, but you can't just live on a foundation. You still need walls and a roof and some furniture, and that comes from the personal savings side as well. All right, number 7, another myth. I'll be in much lower tax bracket once I retire. Will you really?
Yeah, and it really depends on, your level of savings and all the income. But if you're like most of our clients and the families we serve, between required minimum distributions, pensions, Social Security, interest, dividends, taxes often stay the same or they rise over time. And so it's not a given, especially the folks that our firm is set up to help. Definitely not the case. That's going to be there.
Another great point, Scott. We'll move on from that one to number 8. I don't need a written plan because I know my numbers. It's all up here, Scott.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you most of the time that's going to be a dude saying that.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of couples that the wife is the CFO. They handle all the books and keep everything there. They usually are very well prepared. So again, knowing your balances isn't the same as knowing how those dollars work together over time and how they impact your taxation, the cost of your health care. So all those factors are there. Now, you may have a great grasp on that, but here's the question for you. Does your spouse have a grasp on it? Are they prepared to take over if something happens to you, become incapacitated, pass away prematurely? And that's a thing where we get a lot of do-it-yourselfers come our way. And I'll tell you why they're working with us is they want a co-pilot that just in case something happens, they want somebody to take over for them that has the same philosophies, same belief systems, and be able to take care of their spouse if they're no longer able to do that job. So I think if you're in this situation, always have a written plan. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, always have a successor in the wings to take over just in case.
Yeah, great point there. A lot of people don't think about that backup plan in that way, but I think that's really nice to highlight. 2 more myths to get to our 10 total. Number 9 is I can always work a little longer if things don't go as planned. Now, a lot of people do that, right, Scott? But it's a myth to kind of just assume that that's going to be an option.
Correct. And whether it's your health, layoffs, which you're seeing right now, you look at UPS drivers, massive amount of packages going out for UPS drivers that are, they're retiring those people. Now, like, is it all because they're using robots? No, they're going to use robots, yes, but they need to hire younger people at lower wages. That's what they're doing for solvency. So again, sometimes the options can be removed off the table outside of your control. That's why they get health layoffs, caregiving responsibilities. It can just take that away from you. So don't always think that that's the lever you always have. Hopefully you do, but it doesn't always work out that way.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right, last but not least, number 10, once I retire, my financial decisions will get easier. Might assume that, might think that's the case with not working and a lot of less moving parts, I suppose. And
I will say, if you're the average American that has 2 Social Security checks and less than $200,000 saved for retirement, those decisions are not going to be complex. Now, they may be fraught with strain and nervousness on spending because that's not a big nest egg. So retirement removes a paycheck, but it adds complexity around taxes, income timing, distributions, risk management, healthcare, all those things you've got to juggle and figure out, or work with someone that specializes in managing all those details for that. So again, in closing, when the myths fall away, better decisions tend to follow. And that's why I wanted to debunk these. Now, if you have deeper questions about these, feel free to reach out and we'll be happy to discuss this in depth. But as always, if you would like and subscribe, if you find value with this, forward it on because that helps support the channel. We're trying to get to 10,000 subscribers and I never thought we would even be talking about that. We're way beyond my parents and my family being subscribers now. I don't know 10,000 people, so we're leaving it up to the masses out there to get us that number. So we greatly appreciate you taking time to watch or listen to us.
Yeah, like and subscribe. We appreciate your support of the channel and engaging with us in any way that you do. And don't ever hesitate to reach out if you've got deeper questions about what we can cover here on the show. You can always get into the specifics with the team if you desire to do so. Scott, thanks so much for your help, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Looking forward to it.
All right. Myths busted. We'll see you next time here on Your Retirement Elevated.
This podcast has been prepared for educational and marketing purposes only. The information in this video is general in nature, does not constitute personalized investment advice, and does not provide a complete analysis of the subjects discussed. All investments involve risk, and different types of investments involve varying degrees of risk. There can be no assurance that any specific investment strategy will be profitable or suitable to you. Additionally, although information presented in this podcast is believed to be factual and up to date, we do not guarantee its accuracy. You should consult an attorney or tax professional regarding your specific legal or tax situation and should consult a professional advisor before implementing any of the strategies mentioned in this video. Investment advisory services are offered through Elevated Capital Advisors LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC. Registration as an investment advisor does not constitute an endorsement of Elevated Capital Advisors LLC by securities regulators, nor does it indicate that the firm has attained a particular level of skill or ability. Insurance advice and products may be offered by a third-party insurance producer, which may be affiliated with Elevated Retirement Group LLC and Elevated Capital Advisors LLC. Walter Storholt, Mark Killian, and Third Wheel Media LLC are not clients of Elevated Capital Advisors. They receive cash compensation for their assistance in preparing and hosting this podcast, and for providing the endorsement contained in this podcast. Because Walter, Mark, and Third Wheel Media are compensated in connection with this podcast, they have a material conflict of interest in providing their endorsement.